This is a user interface generated AD query. This claims language is copied from the ADFS2 user interface. The regular AD query is described in the previous slide. What's the condition? Issuer equals AD authority. That indicates that this rule action should only be executed for identities from the local AD store, not when the identity is from a different identity provider, because there is probably no account that matches domain/username as specified in Windows account name. Look at how it exactly works. Here is the query for telephone number and mobile attribute, and they are assigned to the claim types listed here above. Here's the telephone number and there's the mobile. There is no possibility to specify other XML attributes like the claim.properties as you would see them in your .NET claim class. Suppose that at an earlier stage we have put the email address on the email claim type. If we would like to issue a name ID claim and add the proper ADFS1 qualifier, then this property assignment will do the trick. Here we test for the email address, and here we add the format property. Name ID has many advanced XML attributes, and ADFS2 can generate all of them. So if you are in an area where you need this, rest assured it will work. What you see here at the bottom is a proper reference, but it is also a trick and a tip. Many of the SAML things are very advanced and complicated. Many people have their ideas about it, not all of them backed up by actual knowledge. My trick is to quote the real guys like Chad or Scott Cantor. That is how you can bluff your way around. Now the real useful tip is that if you don't know the real answer, which is what happens to me most of the time, then I usually search for the keyword or element name and the name of an acknowledged guru. These guys are good and they do explain things well. My favorite is of course the SAML archive, but that is not a beginner's forum. Here's another one of my favorites. There is a C2WTS service, which basically changes a claims principle into a Windows token principle. And to call that function, you need the UPN. So you have a foreign account that comes in. There is a shadow account in your local Active Directory. And then you can run in the context of that local shadow account. So how does it work? You look for the email address and you make sure that it is not from the local AD authority, because then you would have done it in a different way. You would simply have selected the UPN. This is for accounts from a partner. And then the store is the regular Active Directory. The type is a UPN. And then we get the query. Now, instead of the default query which goes for the SAML account name, this is an LDAP filter rule. And it says the mail, the red 0, equals the value from the claim C here. Then we're going to fetch the user principal name attribute. And my domain is called PSRES. And because I'm not using this part in the username, I just filled in nil. So pay attention, there's the LDAP filter here in the beginning, the UPN attribute name, and here it has to be domain username, but user is not relevant because we have our own query. Some environments have defined URN claim types. Officially, they must be any URI. On Microsoft platforms, we were used to URL, but the largest installed base, the huge education federations, have a tradition of using URN claims. Well, as long as they are in SAML2 tokens, that is no problem for ADFS. If you define the URN claim types in the claim description dialog, then you can almost do it with the UI. The first step goes, but it will issue the claims. That is, add them to the output. And that is not allowed because they will be sent with the wrong name format attribute. So copy and paste the UI query to a custom role and replace the issue with add. Here we have the add instead of the issue. that will only add them to the input set. Don't forget to delete the issue rule later on, of course. This last one may surprise you, doesn't it? Remember the OIDs? The hierarchical numbers to identify objects. They are, for instance, used in LDAP directories, certificates, SNMP, and the other ASN1 based things. Yes, they are bags. At first, they are here. At first, I didn't like that, but that was based on my experience with people not knowing how it worked. But in some project I was happy to use them because it avoided a lengthy, dreadful discussion about names. There was already a standard, so that was unexpected help from an unexpected source. So the previous slide has put the correct claim types and the proper values in the input claims with an add. Now we can issue the claims by fully specifying everything, including the properties entry for the name format. The first one is for the shibboleth attributes. Watch the regular expression in the selection condition. It checks for something in the claim type. If it is there, then issue a claim with the correct property entry, and that is the basic format. The second one is for the OID claim types, and it attaches the format URI. Now this is more or less default, the last one, so if you leave it out it will probably work, but if you want to do it correctly, this is the way to do it.